So, what in your view are the essential attributes for a literary agent?
Well, I think the literary agent needs a whole series of attributes, and some are stronger in some areas and some are stronger than others. I think a lot of people come from publishing, so they have good contacts within publishing. I think you need to be able to find, the job of a literary agent is to represent authors to publishers. So first of all, you need to place the book, you need to know who's buying what, you need to put the book develop it in a form that is going to be attractive to the publisher, and then you need to be able to negotiate the contract. So I think you need to have a wide range of skills. You need to be a good editor, you need to be a good salesperson. I think you also need to have a wide range of contacts and think perhaps rather laterally. You have to have a very good sense of following the market by reading what's happening, perhaps what's in the zeitgeist, what might be changing, and you need to anticipate. I think network, to know lots of people, not just in publishing but outside, that you can call on to who might be able to do books. You need to be, I think, quite persuasive to do things for you, charming. You need to be organized, because you clearly are having to do sell a lot of different rights. You may require other people to do that, translation rights or film rights, for example. So it's a very rewarding job and a very varied job, because no one day is the same.
What about negotiating?
Well, negotiating is important. I mean, I think clearly it's difficult if you don't have several bidders. If you have several bidders, then you can play them off against each other. If you've only got one, it's clearly very difficult to push people up. Negotiation is part of it, but I don't think it's a crucial part of it. But you certainly need to understand contracts. Some things are more important than others, and I think sometimes people think that the headline terms, the advances, are more important than sometimes some of the other things, like the escalation rates for the royalties or the discount rates that are there.
Right. And have you rejected any submissions which have gone on to become bestsellers?
Oh, I'm sure, plenty, over 40 years. There are lots of reasons why I turn down books. They don't interest me. I wouldn't be the best agent for them. It's not an area I represent. I didn't like I didn't think I'd get on with the person. Yes, I'm sure. I mean, I know I have. But that doesn't worry me, because I get so many submissions, and I need to play to my strengths and try and pair myself with someone that I really can help. So, for example, I don't really do self-help, I don't do women's fiction, I don't do much literary fiction. So there's no point in me taking on those books, because I wouldn't be the right person for the author.
Right. And what advice can you give to writers who are submitting their work to an agent? What should they bear in mind?
Well, I think you've got to be very professional, you've got to research the market, you've got to make sure you go to the right agent, not send an agent who doesn't handle your work. I think you have to make sure your work is absolutely ready to show. So I'm a great believer in actually finishing the book so that people know exactly what they're buying. Sometimes people sell it in a chapter, a very good chapter, but who knows what the rest is going to be like. And I think you need to target your submission to the right person. I think too many submissions go to the wrong agents and get turned down, and people get disillusioned. And you need to be reasonably keep going, because as I said, there are lots of reasons why people turn things down, not because of the quality, but if there is a sense that this isn't really engaging, then you need to get experts in to look at it and why isn't it working. But only, I would say, less than 1% of books that are submitted are even taken on by an agent. So it's a very hard hill to climb. I think too many people think their books are good, and they're not.
And for you, what stands out to you in a good submission? Like when you get a book, what makes you think?
I have a format that I ask for in my submissions, which is on my website. And in fact, I write the chapter, or rather the entry for the Writers and Artists Yearbook on writing proposals. And I believe that you need to layer a proposal so that people who are in the editorial meeting can get a very quick sense of the book just from reading 1 or 5 pages. So as you go through the proposal, you get more and more information. And the key information is, in 1 page, what makes my book new and special. What are my credentials, the second page. How does the book fit into the market with the comparable and competing books? The fourth page may be your sources. So if you're writing non-fiction, how new are your sources? And then 5 is you've thought through the marketing plan.
Right.
So somebody who's thought all those things through, who's very professional, is someone I feel I can work with.
Right. And what do you love most about being an agent?
Well, I think I love the variety and meeting lots of very interesting people. It's introduced me to lots of subjects I wouldn't normally have covered. So, for example, my most successful writer is someone who writes about being a foster carer, dealing with adoption.
Oh.
And that's not something I knew much about. I learned quite a lot about popular science, which I didn't really know much about. But I now can meet quite famous people. And I build up friendships. Some of my authors have been with me almost 40 years. So it's that friendship, the fact that I'm dealing with ideas and with interesting people the whole time.
And the most challenging aspect of being a literary agent?
Well, it's getting harder to sell books. You know, there's trying to keep abreast of the market, trying to find good authors is difficult. Getting responses from editors is difficult. There's a lot of stuff coming into them. They're not always so good about responding. Just the number of emails, I get something like 100 submissions a day, over 200 emails a day. So just trying to deal with all that is quite difficult.
So what top 3 tips can you give to those considering a career in writing?
I think my top 3 tips, first of all, is to not discount self-publishing, which we now call indie publishing. It gives you a lot more control, you may make more money, and since a lot of books don't go into bookshops anyway, you're really operating on the same level ground as someone who is published by a major publisher. And people like Amazon have very good self-publishing programs. So that would be my first piece of advice. The second is, be persistent, but also be realistic. If the book is not engaging editors and agents, then you need to look at it and make sure that you position it so it is working. There's no point knocking off people for the sake of it. And I think the third is to do your preparation. So research who the right agent and publisher might be, make sure your book is in as good a state as it possibly can be, well edited, grammatical, dealing with commercial subjects, and that you really do the best proposal to really give it the best chance.
Right. Now you also write biographies. Before you decide to commit to writing a biography, what are the key elements you look for in a subject? Because you've written about the Mountbattens, haven't you?
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean I've done a whole series of books. I started off writing literary biography, then I wrote about intelligence, and more recently I'm writing about royal biography. And there's a good example. There is a worldwide interest in the royals, so that was attractive because it means I can sell foreign rights, so it's more commercial, it covers the cost of my research. The other thing is that they are endlessly interesting, and actually people haven't written, I mean there have been lots of books about the royals, but not many that have been researched very properly like a historian would do. So there was a gap in the market. So that's how I sort of evolved into doing royal books. And I'm very interested in people who feel very entitled, who are, and where there is some sort of cover-up. So there's a theme to a lot of my books. It's about people who behave badly, really. And I find those much more interesting than people who behave well.
So, considering the last answer you gave, would you ever consider writing a book on Prince Harry?
Well, there have been a lot of books on Prince Harry. I don't have the contacts to do a book on Prince Harry, but I'm doing a book on the Duke of York, who's equally naughty.
Okay, and how are you enjoying Galle?
I'm loving it. It's a beautiful place.
Right.
I'm looking forward to discovering it more, and discovering the country and discovering its culture and food. So it's very exciting. I'll come with my wife and we're going to have a nice time.
And are you going to go around certain places where the Mountbattens visited as well, or?
Yes.
You are?
Unfortunately, I'm going to do that after I give my talk on the subject. But yes, I'm hoping to meet people who may have stories about them and learn more about their time here.
Yeah. Okay. That's us done.
Great.
Yes.
Lovely.
Thank you so much for
Thank you.
that.
It's fun. Well, thank you so much.
Okay.